Hey Candice, Gabriel with Dawson's Media, and great questions you asked. I got them on the screen here behind me, and instead of writing a ridiculously long email, I decided to put together a video for you instead. It's going to be short-ish, a lot of content to go over, but hopefully you find it very educational. It totally makes sense, and it lets you know kind of what the plan would be to start getting your site ranking for other keywords. You already dominate one pretty well. I'll go over that one in a bit. But we'll start getting other keywords to rank. So to begin, let's go ahead and jump in. And before we get into your site, let me answer some of the easy questions, a little bit of who we are, what we're about. Like I said, my name is Gabriel from Dawson's Media, and I've been a small business owner since 1999. I owned a production company here in Las Vegas, and we started doing a lot of live events, a lot of AV work, and I started kind of bleeding into commercial work and video work and promos and started getting into marketing for small businesses. And at around 2012, we got really turned on to the digital marketing, and it looked like we had a skill set that already kind of lended to that. So in 2013, we made the plunge and jumped it full on into digital marketing. So that involved everything when it comes to websites, anything having to do with SEO, search engine optimization, Google AdWords, Facebook ads, Instagram, Pinterest, anything that we can put out there to bring leads to a company, we would do. And we got really good at it. So that part of our company is up to 13 employees, made up of SEO specialists, graphic designers, photographers, web developers, writers. Wonderful team, awesome group of people. We wouldn't be able to be here without them. So from there, let's go over one of the questions were, what could we do specifically for you guys to help you improve in the rankings? And honestly, what we would do for you is no different than what we would do for just about any other company. The foundation is kind of the same. The only thing that changes is the amount of that we do, right? Or the quality of that we need to produce to compete against your competition. So when it comes to the competition, you just have to beat them in whatever they're doing. If they have 10 pages, you want 20. If they have 10 fantastic backlinks, you want 20. So you want to just beat them in all these different parameters to kind of get glued higher up in the rankings than what they are. So to break it down, we break it down into three major components. First is on-site optimization. So that's just making sure that your site is tweaked so well that Google just wants to tell the world about it, right? We kind of compare SEO to running a marathon, right? The getting to the race, you're not racing yet, just getting to the race is the on-site optimization part. So that's the equivalent of making sure you know where the race starts, making sure you have your registration number on, making sure you're in the right clothes, that you ate well, everything in preparation for the actual race. And then the race part itself on the SEO side is backlinks. And it's an endless race, right? You're always running. So we're always creating backlinks of different levels of authority and different levels of strength, and at different times, not different times, more different equivalent frequency. So Google wants to make sure that this is as natural feeling as possible. If we all of a sudden just one day dropped 50 backlinks without any other indicator, right? Google's like, nope, that's not natural, and they'll slap the site out of existence. It won't appear in the search rankings anymore. Now it's very different if, let's say, we create a promo piece and it gets thousands of likes, right, and becomes viral, and now you get 50 backlinks. Okay, well, that's natural, because for Google sees that, oh, look at all these people talking about it. It makes sense that they would get a lot of backlinks now. So again, backlinks is the backbone to SEO. And then the third part of this equation is conversion. So actually having the site not just rank, but to convert the leads that you're getting from ranking. So to break that down, let's take the SEO portion first. So there's about 200 plus Google factors when it comes to ranking a page. We're not going to get that deep into the weeds. We're just going to look at a handful from these top 10. So the first one I want to go over is, let's go over site speed. Site speed is really important to Google. They know that if it takes more than 4 seconds for a page to load, that their audience will go somewhere else, and that doesn't make Google look good, right? Google wants to be able to get you the right information right off the cuff. So with that, they have this little tool that you can input a page, and it'll give you a grade. So we'll put in yours, and you'll see that it comes up under, we want something in the 75 to 80 points and up. And if I remember correctly, yours comes in at like 55. Okay, so 59 and 62. And so this is something that we can fix. One of the reasons, I mean, here are all the reasons, right? But one of the reasons is the picture sizes. They're too large. So it just takes longer to come up on the rankings. Not come up in the rankings, but it just takes longer to load as compared to this site, which does beat you on a particular keyword, but you'll see that it comes up instantly, right? With and pictures isn't an issue for them. So very good grade from Google. Google gives them a little bonus for that, and they'll rank a little higher. So that's ranking speed. Super important, especially when it comes to mobile. Now, let's go into images. So with images, we want to make sure that the image that you're using is named, whatever it's named, it has the keyword in the name itself and in the alt text of the picture. So I'll show you what that is. So let's say if we take this picture here and we save it, we'll see what the name is. The name is 5. So for Google, if someone's searching for the number 5, they might bring up your picture or your site, but no one's searching for that, right? And that's not what you want to rank for. But let's save this. So what we want to do here is we want to rename this something like eviction services in Dallas, or eviction services in Fort Worth, or best eviction services, anything that has to do with your keyword. So the other place that we want to make that change is here under details. We want to change the title, which becomes the alt text as well, to also say eviction services, so that Google knows what this picture is about. And since this picture is on your site, it gives them another indicator of what your site is about. So let's see from there. Talked about site speed, talked about images, content. I don't have to go into detail here. The longer the content that you have on the homepage, the better. The short on this is people are used to scrolling like they do on Facebook, right? They just scroll. On Facebook, you don't really click on any other links or do much. You're scrolling most of the time. So Google's wanting to emulate that same thing with their pages. They don't want someone to just land on your page and instantly have to go somewhere else and look for their content. They don't want the audience to search for their content. They want it all to be there on the homepage. So the longer we make the homepage, the more that it keeps the audience there on the homepage and reduces what's called your bounce rate. The better your bounce rate, the better that Google will rank you, because it shows Google that when people land on your site, they stay and read your site, and that's an indicator to Google that they sent them to the right place. Multimedia also helps with that. Having a video on the homepage, having images that they have to look through, also helps. So let's see, responsive design, that is something your site does have. It is responsive. Kudos to that. Well done. Again, since everything's going mobile and more people are searching on their phones that they are on their desktop, responsive is a must at this point. Title tags. We can talk about title tags. There's a small detail here. You'll see that you are ranking for eviction services, and you'll notice that it is on your title tag. But when typing in eviction services, Dallas, you'll see that other people are outranking you for that particular search term. It is one of the only search terms, at least that I've noticed so far, that you do actually rank on the first page and here on the local, which is important, and I'm going to go over that in a bit. But you'll see this example here, how it says eviction services on the very front. That's what you want. You want your title tag to be as close to the front of the phrase. I mean, not the title tag. You want your keyword to be as close to the front of the title tag as possible. So as they said eviction services and then put whatever information they wanted, you would want to do the same thing, because no one's searching frontier evictions unless they already know who you are. And at that point, it doesn't care where you rank. If they're just looking for you directly, they'll find you if it was through some referral. So what we're looking for is people who don't know you, who are just typing in a service for them to find you. And then a couple other things too. You'll notice here that when you hover over the phone number, right, there's nothing to click. It doesn't turn into anything else because this is just text. There's no link to it. And you'll notice that on this guy, he actually, how it turns into a little hand. Notice in the bottom right here, it is actually a telephone link. So when you look at this site from a phone, you can just click on this number and it'll dial the number direct. Google knows what this link is and they like it. It lets them know that this site is a little more mobile optimized than, let's say, this one would be, or what this one would be. So they'll give this site a couple more points than yours. But you see this one has the same thing. This is kind of a national brand, but they do have a presence in your city. But you know, this one, the same thing. And you'll notice that some of these, I think it was this guy. See how much content he has in the first page? I mean, it's still, I mean, it's a good amount. Still should be more. I mean, look at all the content this guy has. Like that's, and it's a national brand. So I mean, they have a pretty beefy budget behind them, I'm sure. And you can kind of see the practices that they're using, you know. So the more content that you have on the first page, the more authoritative you seem. So that's kind of a small overview on the on page. There, we go over about a 50-point checklist for all of our companies to tweak their on-page SEO, just to make sure that before we run the race, that we're running with the best vehicle possible. So from here, now let's go into backlinks, which is the backbone of the race. I don't want to get too deep in the trenches here. Here's just some information for you on the importance of these backlinks, but I'll give you the real quick rundown. Backlinks is like a vote. So every backlink is a vote. And the more authoritative the vote, the more powerful it is for your site. So for example, if I were to be selling a book and just my good friend from down the street that nobody knows says, you should buy Gabe's book, I might not get too much traction. But, so his vote isn't very powerful, right? It might be a vote still, so it might be a link to my site, but not very powerful, isn't going to make too big of a difference. But if the New York Times says, this is the book you need to buy for SEO services, it's the best book on the market, go get it, well, I'll instantly become a bestseller because their vote, right, or their authority is way more than my unknown friend. So backlinks are really no different. We want to make sure that the backlink comes from a site that is relevant to your business. So if it's from, let's say, an attorney, would make way more sense and be more relevant to Google than if it came from a site having to do with children's toys, right? The same thing with the anchor text as well. We want to make sure that that's balanced, where it's not all just your naked URL, meaning just the frontier eviction. We wanted the anchor text to actually be keywords that we want to rank for, but we can't be too heavy-handed. It has to be very natural to Google. So we kind of drip things out in a natural way so that it doesn't overwhelm Google and make it seem unnatural. We'll also do things like we'll create a post and we'll post it on Facebook so there's some likes and some traction on there and some shares. And once we see that we get some good traction, then we might put in a couple of extra backlinks, taking advantage of that momentum, because that seems natural to Google, right? You post something, it gets shared, and if it gets shared, there's more of an audience looking at it, and so there's more of a chance of getting these backlinks. So again, to recap, backlinks is still the number one way to rank a site. It's the number one indicator for Google on what site to put up on the ranks. And these are some of the aspects of getting quality backlinks. So I've said earlier that you already do rank for a particular search term. Before I tell you what that means, let me give you the real quick crash course on the anatomy of the search page. So paid ads up top. Next section are the Google Maps, or the local, and this bottom section is the organic. Now, 96% of visitors on average will never go past this page, which is why everyone wants to be on the coveted first page of the Google search results. Now, what you may not know is how those 96% gets broken up amongst these three sections. So about 18% click on an ad. One of the reasons it doesn't have a very high click-through rate is because people don't trust it as much as they do the other two sections. They feel that these people just paid for their position, which they did, and it still has a place. I mean, 18% out of, let's say, 100 people still isn't bad. That's 18 leads, that you can follow up on and possibly book something on. And it saves you the time of ranking organically. So when people come up with a new page, they'll spend some money on ads while they're spending the rest of it on SEO to ranking organically, and eventually they will drop the ads, right? Or continue it depending on kind of what ad budget they have at the time. Maps, 44% of the clicks end up on these three people on the maps. So I know there's more options when you click on more places, but only 8% go and ever click on this more place section. Almost everyone ends up clicking one of these three when it comes to the maps. And then organic takes 38%, so the rest of it goes to organic. So now if we were going to take and break down the organic section, just as you would think, the top link gets the most clicks and it just works its way down. So you can see the difference between 32% for the first and then 5% for the fifth. And that's just because people usually find their answer within here. By the time they get one of these three will convert them. 6 to 10 gets anywhere between 2 to 4%. Anything on page 2 gets about 4%. Anything on page 3 and beyond gets about 2%. So you want to be on the top 3 here and in the maps. So with that, I did a search as if I was in Dallas, searching for Eviction Services Dallas, and here you'll see the rankings. You come up in the maps. And you come up in the maps for a couple of different variations. Like I think even if I left Dallas out, you would still come up in the maps. But the only thing is that this rating, you need to take effort to change. It's not too challenging because you only have 12 total that is giving you that rating. All you need to do is get another 12 or 20 to rate. So spend some time and effort to get them to rate your services, and that everyone who has enjoyed your services, to then get that up to about a 4.5 or above. 4.5 or above, people know no one's perfect, so it doesn't have to be a 5-star, right? People know that there's issues, and as long as you respond to those issues, which I saw you respond to at least one of them, I think it was the most recent one, the one that happened about a month out. As long as you see you responding to them in a responsible manner, where it doesn't put the blame on them, where you take it as a learning experience, and people respond well to that, and they know no one's perfect, and they'll try your services even with a couple of bad reviews. But a 3.3, and you're losing on a lot of click-throughs because people aren't clicking on that. This might not be what they want. I don't want a 3.3. I don't want a 2.0. I want someone who's a 4.2. Oh, I'll take that, right? Or a 5, even better. What's this person? I'll get on this person. So again, if they don't see what they like, they'll move on to the next. But here in the organic, yes, we do have this company that's outranking you, and I think you mentioned them. You also have a Hunt a Home that's outranking you for this particular search term. And they are, where are they? I thought I brought them up. That's a national brand that's on ranking. There we go. There's Hunt a Home that's on ranking. I mean, they have a really great site. I'm sure it converts. It's pretty authoritative. Let's see how many pages they have. 50 pages, so it doubles your content. I mean, they have more than double your content, which is another reason why I'm sure they're outranking. So again, these are all things that we can beat them on. We just have to put the work in and just beat them on these things, and then let Google take its time to recognize you as beating them and start making your way up. But I mean, right now for this particular search term, you're what, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh here and here. So again, not a bad start. With the backlinks, I was able to do a report, and it looks like you guys did do some SEO at some point, right? Not to judge anyone else's efforts or anything, but some links were great, but some links were a little spammy. And let me give you an example. So, oh no, sign me out. All right. As I log back in, well, I can send you this report independently. You're already getting the point and the idea of how it all works. But I was going to show you, you have about 240 backlinks that are already showing attached to your site. And this site that's outranking you with a horrible website, I mean, just, it's horrendous. I'm sure it's not converting well. It might be ranking well. It can't be converting well. At least not through Google. The other people might know them from being longer in the industry. I mean, this site's been up since 2003, so they must be established, right? But this needs an update like ASAP. But anyways, they're outranking because even though they only have 7 backlinks compared to your 241 backlinks, their 7 backlinks are way more authoritative and way more powerful. So when it comes to backlinking, it's not quantity, it's quality that matters. So from there, I mean, that gave you, I'm pretty sure that gives you a pretty detailed overview on what we would do to start ranking your site for different keywords. One of the things we want to start with is do a keyword research on what keywords we want to rank, what keywords are actually getting searched, so that we can start going after those keywords. And there's not really too much of a limit to the keywords we go after. So what we want to do is we'll narrow down, let's say about 5 to begin, and we'll start working on those. And as those are ranking, we'll start adding others and adding others, because we'll just want to keep adding content to your page, so that when we do get it onto the first page, that it's there to stay, that it's beating out the other companies by so much that no one even wants to compete, and then we don't have to keep putting as much effort just fighting for those positions. We can just trickle in the content and trickle in the backlinks to maintain our position. So from there, let's go over our guarantees. Can we guarantee that you'll end up on the first page or the first on Google? I can't, because we don't own Google. They change their algorithms. Sometimes huge updates happen that just tanks websites, and we have to start again. There's changes that happen on the daily. The page rank sometimes fluctuates like the stock market. It goes up and down. But what we can say is that we have a pretty good track record on getting people there. So I can't put any guarantee on the line. Again, it's something that I'm not in control of. Here's a article that you can read on entrepreneur.com that talks about, it's called 7 SEO Expert Lies. So things that you should kind of be wary of if someone does say. If they can say they can get you on the first page of Google guaranteed, you might want to look for somebody else for good reasons. So here's a link to the article. Go check it out, educate yourself, and you kind of get a better idea on how to track someone of quality. But what I can say is these are some of our current clients and what they've experienced with us. So this is a mobile mechanic out of Las Vegas. He started on page 5, position 59. We've been doing SEO with him for about 7 months, and right now we have 4 of his keywords on the homepage with many of them following. So you'll see here, this is the month section. So in the last month, this key word has gone up 30 points. This one 34, this one 45. And so there, again, what we do in our strategy works. We just keep, pounding these sites with content and backlinks in the correct frequency, and we get results. So these guys, it's taken 9 months because their demographic is so large here. We have, in Vegas with our suburbs, we're over at 1 million some. So the larger the demographic, just the longer it takes, the more challenging it is, the more effort you have to put in. For example, in contrast, here we have another mobile mechanic, but in Lehigh, Utah. So we are able to get them even higher on the rankings in less time, but their demographic is only 50K. So these guys were non-existent on Google when we started 4 months ago, and now we've gone into this position, and you can see that we're still ranking them on other keywords, and we're going to keep adding keywords, right? So just the more keywords we have, the more nets we have catching these leads. And here we have a lawn service or a landscaper out of Lake Havasu. Again, small demographic. We already have a couple of keywords on the first page. They're still growing. They have upward ticks, and we've only been working them for 3 months. Again, small demographic, so these aren't numbers that I would expect out of Dallas. I think you guys are at like 1 point some million, and so it's going to take time, but it's what we do. We'll get you ranked. So that, let me take a look real quick at the questions. For the guarantee, I can't do a, let me do some work for you, and then if it works, you'll pay me. Like, it's just not the way that we do business, and our employees don't respond that way either. I pay them for the effort that they put forth, and so I'm sure you can respect that. But on the guarantee, I also can't guarantee you'll be on the first page. But you saw by our case studies, it's something that we have done in the past, and it's what we do. It's what we're good at. What I can guarantee is that you're going to see movement within the first 60 days. And if you don't see movement within those first 60 days, if you don't see keywords start ranking and start going up, then we will refund you those 2 months of fees. So we do everything in 6-month increments. So we'll book a contract for 6 months. It usually takes 6 months to kind of see a good amount of change to a ranking, especially in a demographic your size. But you'll start seeing movement already within the 60-day mark. And so we promise that if you don't, no questions asked, just we'll refund you your money. It's all evident. It's not like it's a question. You can see by the reports, oh, yep, we haven't moved. Here's your money back. And I can say that pretty confidently. So that's a guarantee I can make. Let's see what other questions we have. We already talked about competition. We talked about technique. We don't charge per keyword. We just want to keep ranking you for keywords, until we've exhausted them all. Let's see. And we talked about the long-term SEO success. So like I said, it's continual content and continual backlinking to keep you in the race. I'll reference it again. SEO is the never-ending marathon. So we just want to keep you there by just keep trickling in content and backlinks and keeping you relevant. So when it comes to our rates for your demographic and for your competition, we can actually do it for $600 a month. And one of the main reasons is your niche that you're in isn't that competitive. The guys that you're against, they're pretty anchored in. Some of them have pretty good backlinks. Some of them have pretty good, they've been there for a while, but it's nothing that we can't beat out and we haven't beat out in the past. So with confidence, I can say $600 will cover the work and the effort to get you guys ranked, and we'll do that in a 6-month contract. So with that, let us know any other questions you might have, any other details you want to go over. Hopefully you found this video pretty informative and gave you a lot of education on kind of how things work and how we do business. And we'll go from here.